Hello, my name is Malik Jabbar, author of the Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myth and other books on the subject of astrotheology. Our subject is the birth of the cosmic Christ. We know that the basic premise of astrotheology is that Jesus Christ never existed as a human being or Son of God, and that the story of Jesus in the Bible is allegorical of the annual cycle of the sun. The entire biblical life of Jesus is symbolic of the annual cycle of the sun, including the myth of his birth. Presently, I will prove that the birth of Jesus is symbolic of the annual rebirth of the sun. We will do this by correlating the prominent features of the biblical story to its cosmic counterparts, and then explaining their astrotheological interpretations. I will bring forth the Bible verses that describe the birth of the Christ, and then unveil how the biblical descriptions are actually symbolic descriptions of cosmic interactions. We are focused on the story of the birth of the biblical Jesus Christ. We shall prove that Jesus Christ was a metaphor for the cosmic sun. Hence, the birth of Jesus in the Bible is actually symbolic of the birth of the cosmic Christ. Now, we shall be charting cosmic coordinates, which can be somewhat tedious. But if we can remain focused for the short duration of this presentation, I think you will find that it is time well spent and worthwhile. So, let us begin. I will now exemplify one of the astrotheological methods used to decipher Bible symbolism. I shall display some Bible verses relevant to the alleged birth of Jesus Christ, which actually refer to the annual rebirth of the sun. I will use this sky map to prove the astrotheological symbolism of the birth of the Christ. We shall prove that the birth of Jesus in the Bible is actually, in truth, referring to the annual rebirth of the cosmic sun. First, I want to acquaint you with the sky map that we are looking at here. You notice this red line here. That is the celestial equator. And this gold line here, that is the ecliptic of the sun. In other words, the pathway of the sun through the universe. And down here in this dark area, that's really the earth. At night, we can't see it, so it's dark. And the horizon of the earth obviously blends in with the sky, where the darkness dissipates. And what I'm going to do later on, I'm going to give you an animation of this revolving sky, animate our sky map here to let it revolve so that you can have a better feel of what we're looking at here. Then after we demonstrate the revolving of the sky and the coming and going of the stars, then we'll get into the particulars of deciphering the symbolism concerning the birth of Jesus, actually referring to the rebirth of the sun, the Sol Invictus, the annual rebirth of the unconquered sun. So let me start a little movement here. Now you notice we're having the sun is emerging above the horizon of the earth and giving us daylight. Of course, when we have daylight, the stars are blocked out and we can't see them. So this animation is replicating that for us. Soon the sun will descend into the west, and the night sky will reappear and the stars will come about so that we can see the night sky. The ancients, one of the methods that the ancients used in charting the location of the sun was by the means of the night sky, because they had a knowledge of where the constellations were located, especially the zodiacal constellations, relevant to the location of the sun. Now we have the sun emerging into daylight again. And I'm going to put a pause on this so that I can show you something. Now I'm going to turn off the atmosphere because I want us to be able to see the stars and where the sun is located in regards to the heavenly lights. Of course, in the daytime we can't see the stars because the sun blocks them out. But I have this set here about 70 AD, the 12th month, and the 25th day. In other words, Christmas Day. That's when we're told Jesus was born. I'm going to back this up here. Actually, any time between the 22nd to the 25th of December will work for us, because that's the time of the winter solstice. And we know that Jesus is born during the time of the winter solstice. And I want to back this up so that you can see it clearly. I want you to see this is at 18 hours minus 23.5 degrees. The sun is here at the winter solstice. This is the point of the sun's birth. And this is important. And it's also important to understand that although we are charting the movement of the sun at night, we can't see it. We have to use other night stars to help us locate the sun. And that's why I'm showing you this in this fashion. But I'm going to rotate this back to another position that will help me explain some facts to you. And let's see here. And we'll go to the next step in our explanation. Okay, we'll hold up here. What I want to do at this point, before we go into the interpretations and explanations, I want to read to you the Bible verses that refer to this symbolism that we shall decipher. Excuse me. Now we know the birth of Jesus is described in Luke and Matthew of the Bible. So I'm going to use a few verses from Luke and also Matthew, and I'm going to read those to you right now, and we will refer to these Bible verses in showing that they actually are symbolic of cosmic mythology and not referring to an actual historical event. But in Luke, the 2nd chapter, 4 through 7, and Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was, that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. So here we have in Luke the birth of Jesus described in a humble manner, in a barn, a stall, or something of that type. A manger is one of those trough-like feeders that animals feed out of. So we see his beginning in a humble manner, perhaps in a barn, where a manger was thereabouts for the feeding of animals. Now, I want to read also a verse from a few verses from Matthew that will also help us in our interpretation. In Matthew, the 2nd chapter, verses 7 through 9, then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star, which they saw in the east, went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. Okay, that's from Matthew 2, 7, 9. That's an excerpt of the description from the Bible on the birth of Jesus and the star leading them to the location of his birth. The whole story started at Matthew 2 and 1, so I'm not showing all of it because of space here. But this is, this is obviously mythology. We're told here that a star, they followed a star to a particular location of a building, of a house or a barn or what have you. And we all know this is impossible. You can't go outside and stand under some star or follow a star to an address. That's an impossibility. So we want to unpack the true symbolism of these verses here with the use of this sky map that we have before us. Now, the key Bible descriptions that will help us in exposing the astrotheological basis of this cosmic symbolism are the descriptions of Jesus being laid in a manger, and also the tale about a star that appeared in the east and was followed by the wise men until it arrived to a position over the location of Jesus. We will use those Bible descriptions to help us in our decipherment. First, where I want to start, let me reanimate this a little. I want to start with the position of the sun here, so that we are clear on the position of the sun at the point of the winter solstice, the birth of the sun. Jesus never lived. The birth that the Bible describes is the birth of this right here, the sun. Jesus is not an historical figure. He's a figure of literature. This solar sun is what the Bible is describing here at 18 hours right ascension and minus 23.5 degrees declination. This is what is being described. So we'll start right here, and let me rotate this a little bit. I'm rotating it manually because I put on auto, it might get away from me. Okay, I'll tell you what, let me back it up a little bit. Now, the winter solstice is in the sector of Capricorn. All of you that have read my books, you understand the importance of the sectors. Opposite the sector of Capricorn is the sector of Cancer. In other words, the zodiacal sign of Cancer is in opposition to the zodiacal sign of Capricorn, astronomically. It's in 180 degrees opposite that sign. And actually, being that we cannot see the sun at its birth, because the birth of the sun takes place at high noon. Solar time is measured from noon to noon. And the birth of the sun, the birth of the sun takes place at high noon. So we can't see the sun actually. We could if in the daytime, but at night, when they were charting the sun by means of the stars, of course the sun was invisible. But they knew that Cancer was in opposition to the sun and its location at high noon. That's important because you see here the zodiacal sign of Cancer. Within Cancer's sector, there are other constellations and asterisms and nebula and clusters. And right here, we see what is called the beehive within the sector of Cancer. That is a popular name for that cluster. A cluster is simply a mass of stars. They're faint, and it's just a mass of stars, small stars, all assembled together so as to form a cluster. Another name for the beehive cluster is precipice. Precipice is another name that was used to designate that particular group of stars. Precipice. The term precipice means manger. The definition of precipice is manger and or crib. This you can look up. It's no mystery. And in terms of the star being seen in the east and then followed to the position where it was over where the Christ child lay, all stars rise in the east and travel through the west at night because the earth is rotating to the east, and that causes the sky to move to the west. So that is common, that a star should rise in the east and flow to the west. But the Bible says that this star led them to the point of where Jesus lay. And within this sector of Cancer, at 90 degrees, this is the summer solstice. I mean, in the vicinity of 90 degrees, this is the summer solstice. We find a beehive cluster with the name of precipice, which means manger. And I want to move this a little further to make another point clearer to you, if you abide with me. So we move it. I've also already showed you with the rotation how the sun emerges above the horizon. So now I've rotated this map so that we can put this sector of Cancer and the beehive cluster, which actually is another term for precipice, up high, because I want you to see when both this cluster and the sun, we see down here below the earth, directly below the cluster of precipice, what do we see? We see the sun. We see that precipice lays over, is directly over where the sun lays, clear as day. That the star that arose in the east, that they followed to a position over where the child lay, the child actually being not a man, Jesus Christ, who never lived, but rather the rebirth of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, when the star or the cluster reached the vertical at 90 degrees, consequently 180 degrees from the cluster, at the exact opposite, it was over where the sun lay, where the child lay, where Jesus lay. This is the interpretation, the astrotheological interpretation of the symbolism of the birth of Jesus. Of course, all you that have read my books, you're familiar with this. I've explained this in my books, The Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myth. But I think that this visual representation here will even help you more in understanding this and the additional information that you are familiar with that you see in the books. And it'll also be good for the newcomers. So there you have it. We have presented the true hidden symbolism of the birth of Christ. Astrotheology is key to understanding the true meaning of the Bible. The Bible, as literally written, is mostly fable and mythology. Most of the characters of the Bible are cosmic myths, and this includes Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is probably the most famous sun god of all time. The truth of the matter is that Jesus Christ of the Bible was a sun god and not a historical figure. I think that the proofs that we have offered in this video are vivid, logical, and rational. Now, I have written 7 books on the subject of astrotheology. You can go to my site, thechristmyth.com, to read excerpts of these books. You will also find links to purchase the books directly from us at a significant discount. Or you can shop it at your favorite bookstore. I also invite you to subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified when future videos are released. And also feel free to share any of my videos with others. So I thank you, and I appreciate your time.